Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Wolf, and is Twilight going to outlive her friends? I mean, the series finale episode, The Last Problem, it was lovely to see that all of the main six are still getting together on a regular basis, that their friendship remains strong despite the fact that they've gone on so many different paths in life. It's a lovely sentiment. But we do see that aside from Twilight, the rest of the main six have bags under their eyes or even gray in their manes. They seem to be the equivalent of women in their 40s, if not 50s by now. And so, does that mean Twilight is going to have to one day say goodbye to each of them? I can remember many years ago that the MLP staff had stated that Twilight will not outlive her friends. And yet when I watch a scene like this, I have to wonder, did they change their minds? Is it eventually going to reach a point where each of the main six, aside from Twilight, is going to pass on? Yeah, it's a little sad to think about, and yet at the same time, it does speak a lot about how precious the time we have is. Now, there's no way for us to know whether or not Twilight is going to outlive her friends, because at this point the series is over. I have no idea if there's going to be anything further in season 10 that's taking place in the comics, and yet I have to think, would it be better if Twilight did outlive her friends one day, or if there was some other means for the six of them to stay together for all of time? Who knows? There are many arguments both for and against. It reminds me a great deal of the story Forever Young, which I did a dramatic reading for several years ago, and there was even some wonderfully beautiful artwork and some very talented voice actresses who helped to bring that story to life, and it's still one of my personal favorite stories that the community has ever produced. And it talks a great deal about characters who are essentially immortal, wanting mortal ponies stay with them, and the sacrifices that are made in order to stay with them. And honestly, I would love to see something similar in the series proper, because characters like the Royal Sisters or Discord or now Twilight, it's possible that they are essentially immortal. It's possible that they may remain in Equestria for the rest of time. Or it could be that they're just exceptionally long-lived, like millennia long-lived. And yet when we look at the rest of the pony characters in the show, you have to think someday, who knows how long it will take, but someday each of these main six characters will look very much like Granny Smith does. And yeah, it does make you think a lot about the fragility of life, how precious the time we have is. But is that the kind of subject matter that the MLP staff would ever want to touch on? The series as a whole is now over and done with. MLP Season 10 is going to be taking place strictly within the comic series. I haven't read any of the comics, so I don't really know what to expect there. I did also have another thought about what if this is something that's going to carry over into MLP G5. I know it's still a long ways off, and we really have no idea whether it's going to involve any of the characters we've come to know, or it could be some continuation many years after the original MLP series. It could be that characters like Twilight and Spike, perhaps the Royal Sisters, Discord, may be the only characters we recognize left. Or it could be that it's so far off in the future that none of the characters we know are still around, that they are only characters of legend, immortalized in statues and stained glass windows. It's interesting to think about, though. Would it be better for Twilight to one day outlive her friends, or would it be better if there are some stories down the road that they are able to find a way to stay together forever? There are many positives and negatives for both sides of this particular question. And honestly, if the MLP staff could one day touch upon the same subjects that a story like Forever Young did, and end it in a similarly touching way, I'd be happy with that. I'd be very much looking forward to that. We may not know at this point whether Twilight will outlive her friends. It may seem that way given how much older the rest of the main six look at this point, but I am still very much looking forward to what the MLP staff might bring for each of these characters in the future. But then, what do each of you think? Would you prefer that one day Twilight would have to say goodbye to each of the rest of the main six in turn, and all the lessons about the fragility of life and how precious the time we have with our friends and family really is? Or would it make for better stories if all of the main six were able to find ways of staying together forever, whether in this life or the next? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because as always, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.